Alright, sometimes you'll have non-Christians say, well, hasn't the Bible message been changed over the years, like Chinese whispers, and you can't really trust it now because, it's been changed and through all the copying process of 2,000 years. Well, we need to have a real bit of an answer for that. So here is what we call the bibliographical test, bibliographical, P-H-I-C-A-L. Notice you've got to keep talking while you're writing. The bibliographical test, and I draw a simple little diagram like this. I say here is basically the year 0, and then this is the year, say 30 AD, which we'll say that's when Jesus died. We don't actually know the actual date specifically, so 30 AD. Now during the period of Jesus' ministry, the disciples and others were recording. So let's put here, they were recording what Jesus said and did. So they're kind of taking notes. Then between 30 and 50 AD, the scholars say that the New Testament documents were actually formally written between 50 and 75 AD. So between 30 and 50 you have what I call the period of the preservation of the notes. So the Holy Spirit is inspiring this and overseeing this whole process of recording, of preservation, and then of formalizing. So let's call this the formalizing of the letters, where you turn the notes into letters, and of course you've got new letters being written as well by Paul and others. So the Holy Spirit, there's basically three sort of stages. You've got recording, preservation of the notes and the records, and then you have the formalizing of the records where the Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, the Gospels, were written, and the other letters of the New Testament. Now, the earliest copy we have, there are no New Testament originals in existence today. We haven't found them yet. The earliest copy we have is called the John Ryland manuscript, and that's dated 130 AD. It's a fragment of the copy of John. So the key thing we're trying to find out here is this: is that between 50 and 75 AD the records were written, and then copies of these originals were made. Now we know that there are 20,000 copies or fragments of copies of New Testament documents in existence today. So what scholars have done is they have taken, for example, all the records or the copies of John, the Gospel of John, and they have laid them out from the latest to the earliest. And they can do that through a science called paleology, which is dating documents, the science of dating documents. They look at the ink, the material it was written on, the style of writing, and so on and so on and so on. And they can date them from earliest to the latest. Now the good news is they want to know, has the record been preserved? Were there mistakes made in copying? Because you imagine if you're copying documents, you can easily make mistakes. Well, the good news is that there is a 99.9% accuracy in the copying over 2,000 years. Now, that's amazing. And because this science of paleology, of the science of scribes actually copying documents, was incredibly precise and meticulous. Now, the key thing that we want to know is, if we have no originals left, how do we know that what was written between, or the copies that were made between the John Ryland manuscript and 75 AD, how do we know that these were accurate? Well, we know this for two reasons. Firstly, on the basis of the accuracy of the copying from the earliest to the latest, we have a 99.9% accuracy rate. Given that they're so incredibly preserved in those 2,000 years, we have no reason to doubt that they were also not well preserved between 75 AD and the earliest copies that we have. And so that's how we know that the documents we have at the moment were well preserved over 2,000 years. It's an incredible piece of science. So we have an answer to give people that we've thought about this, we understand the process, we know about paleology, we know about the science of copying ancient documents and how well they've been preserved. And we also know about the 3 stages of recording, preservation, and then formalizing of the New Testament documents. And we can say, hey, we're not just believing the Bible because of blind faith, we're believing it because of historical evidence and because of science, because of this kind of analysis and these kind of figures that we can quote about the existence and preservation of New Testament documents. Okay, God bless you.